Testing. Oh, I gotta do some refresh or something. Hold on. Alright, I think I got it. It's been a while. Alright, 10:01. I guess we could get started. Hold on. Gotta turn myself on. That'd probably be a good way to start. Boom. Boom. I'm here. I think everything's working as it should. Alright, hey, real quick, let's do the spiel. For the 5 of you watching that have already seen me do a Nightcap before, I'm gonna walk you through it anyway. It's a call-in program. It's a call-in program. You can join the Discord I've just linked. Join the Nightcap waiting room voice channel. You ever take about really anything, but preferably MLTP season 34, you can hop in there and I'll drag you into the stream voice channel and you can share your take. We'll have a little discussion. Not every stream is sin, just the late night ones. And I guess we'll start here. Season 34 signups, they are open. If you haven't signed up, sign up. First week, I believe, is the week of 9/15, September 15th. With the Majors draft being a week prior to that, so that'd be the 8th. Minors draft falling in on the 12th, that Thursday. And then the novice draft being that Sunday the 15th. Which would coincide with Majors week 1. So go ahead and sign up for season 34 if you haven't already. Really, the purpose of this Nightcap, really just wanted to talk through some initial rulings that we have made as commissioners, and then maybe get into some more thoughts we're having about how to lay the season out, and maybe get some community feedback there. We'll start here. And I see Beast Mode just joined the server. I assume he's going to complain about home mats being removed. So we'll leave that for him. First major decision we've made. We're going to continue what the captains, and I believe all tiers last season, what they started in season 33. Captains in each tier vetoed to bring the no kiss setting into competitive. We're going to bypass that this time around. No kiss for all tiers. And to us, it was just a clear. So I can pull up the vote real quick. I believe the final vote on that was 4-1. And I think PK may have been a placeholder vote with his vote nay. I'm not sure. I'm a little confused sometimes, but I think it's a 4-1 with PK voting no. That might have been a placeholder no by him. But yeah, I think me personally, I thought No Kiss was an interesting change of pace, season 33. You know, we've been we've been playing with Kiss. I mean, gosh, legitimately, I've been playing comp since 2015. So legitimately, it's been 9 years of playing with Kiss. So I thought no Kiss was a nice change of pace. I think there's a lot of untapped potential for the game setting still. You know, the one thing I didn't like about it is it leads to these scenarios where your flag carrier is a third chaser to the point where it's like kind of boring, I guess. Like I call it like they're helping corral the other FC, right? I think that can be, I don't know, I don't think that's the most exciting thing in the world to watch and play, to, you know, to like part of your flag carrying duty just kind of be the corral the other FC. I think that's not great, but I saw enough last season of potential like highlight plays you can pull off with it, and I thought it helped increase cap rates too, right? Because you can't pull and kiss any longer. So I think that outweighs that negative. I think there's a lot of potential still. So yeah, I was really in favor of bringing it back for season 34. I'm glad we did. I know Robiny. At some point, I'm gonna mute you. I don't think it's gonna get captain's vetoed. I would be surprised. I think your poll, Robiny, it was something like 85% of people were in favor of no kiss. My guess is, for the majority of people who play, they probably don't have a strong opinion on it. But I think generally it's liked more than it's not liked. So I'm content with the decision. I think there's lots of room to explore it further and see how people continue to get better at it, and how they continue to adjust no kiss being competitive. So that was ruling number 1. And again, very happy with that. Again, I'm going to leave the home map thing until we can get beast mode on. Sounds like he'll be on in a few. So we'll skip to number 3 on my announcement from the 14th. No pre-draft DPs this time around. That was a big one for me. And I know I've said this in discussion channels before. So I was on the season 16 MLTP CRC, and that's back when you had separate CRCs for MLTP and Novice. But I was on that MLTP CRC in season 16, where we kind of introduced the concept of a dual eligible player. Taco Ball had gotten called up to majors, and our ruling at the time permitted him to play both minors and majors after the call-up. And as far as I'm aware, that was really the first instance of something like that happening. Obviously, this past season and in seasons prior to this past season, that dual eligible role had been stretched to players prior to a draft, rather than it being an in-season adjustment, kind of as a result of loans and call-ups and drops and all that. And I thought, I don't know, that didn't sit right with me. I don't think players should ever be given a free pass to the league below them. I think Steroid is like the classic example of this. Like, I think for the past, I don't know how long he's been a novice, but say the past 3 seasons, he clearly just did not belong in novice. I mean, clearly did not. Was consistently an MVP candidate. Consistently was competing and winning Noopers. And they continued to allow him to not skip the minors draft, well, essentially skip the minors draft. Like, if he gets drafted, there's no consequence. He can still play novice. I thought that was inappropriate. And you can maybe make the argument that, like, oh, you need to give him fewer tag coins or whatever, but I think the root issue is he shouldn't be in the league he's too good for anyway, right? And I think that's where previous CRCs got it wrong. They were so worried about captains and player numbers in different tiers that they let some of that slide, and I think they let people play in 2 leads when I think they were too obviously good for that bottom tier league. So that for me was, the motivating factor behind getting rid of it. I just giving someone a free pass to the league below, and knowing it's a struggle to find captains every season, we would be tempted to extend that offer to people who wanted to be pre-draft dual eligible. So yeah, I think just nip it in the bud to start. Let people play where they're drafted. If it so happens that they get called up during this season and they play in both leagues, fine. We've dealt with that before, and I don't have an issue with that. To me, allowing someone to skip a draft pre-draft or have it bear no consequence on their draft status in the lower tier, that didn't sit right with me. Cough, BC cough. I'm not sure I know what you're referencing, Sin. There's a problem way before we were low on players. Yeah, and so novice would do that a lot, and again, this was back when it wasn't quite a DEP, but like when novice had a separate CRC, they would have what they call DPC, direct playing captains, right? They would offer players who had a chance to be drafted minors, they would offer them captaincies in novice, and they would forego their eligibility in minors. Kind of a similar thing here. I was just talking about season 10 in Majors discussion, how they let Havman captain novice in season 10, skipped the minors draft, got a novice captaincy somehow, only gave him 10 tag coins, but still managed to put together a pretty good team, and solely because he didn't belong in the tier, right? So I think similar to what we're talking about with DPs here, like no matter how you tats them for being too good for that tier, I don't think it's effective enough, and there's no reason not to just get rid of it entirely. So that was my motivation with that. I guess we can start talking home maps. I'm sure Beast will get on at some point. So the last bullet point on this announcement here, we decided to, well, I said we, as a CRC, I suppose, decided to remove home maps, and we're gonna go back to and this is still up for debate, either a CRC-led rotation or a rotation that comes from a pre-selected map panel, or maybe a combination of both. That's still up for debate. And I'll tell you, that was a 4-1 vote to do that. I was the only CRC member to vote no on that. I wanted to keep home maps, and I'll tell you why I felt that way. When we and this is not a novel idea, I'm not claiming credit for the idea of home maps. When Beast and I really talked about home maps before the start of his CRC tenure, so much of what I thought Beast Mode would bring to the league, and what by extension I thought home maps could bring to the league, was like a level of engagement and excitement. And I thought home maps, they were a unique solution it gives a team an identity. It gives them something to be invested in. I think it adds engagement as a viewer when a team has an interesting home map that's maybe a little bit different than what people are used to playing in a competitive rotation. You even saw it like when we went on our playoff run just this past season before we lost the Super. We played PTB in the semis, and we beat them on their home map to win the series in Game 5. And you saw people memeing in chat about how bad they were at their home map. I think that's like good for engagement, right? I think that's a good it creates discussion. If a team sucks at their home map, like that's fun. That's like that's fun to chat about to me. So I don't know. It was less, and I argued for it as a way to freshen up like the map rotation, right? Because there are so many different options that teams chose from last season, a lot of different ideas, a lot of maps that weren't your typical competitive staples, and I do still think that's true, but also just so much of it was that engagement and that excitement that I thought they brought. So yeah, I was disappointed that the rest of the CRC didn't feel that way. Now I guess the next best thing now, if we are getting rid of home maps, I want to find a way to still create that engagement and excitement and kind of give a team an opportunity to be unique. I don't know what that looks like quite yet. I think Nameless had tossed out some suggestions while we were talking about it. I'll go back and take a look at them. But that's a huge thing for me. And then whoever decides to map rotation, whether it will be us just as a CRC or a separate map panel, or again a combination of the two, I think we really need to push the envelope a little bit. And that's not to say every single map in rotation is something ridiculous. I think you can have your staples, both new and old. But I really think we need to push for like one map a week that's just like a little out there, and just try some new things. So I'll be pushing for that in the map selection process. And if anyone's got ideas about what they think we can do to kind of keep that, I don't know, to me, keep that engagement and excitement that home maps brought, I'd be curious to hear. Looks like we got Beast Mode. This would be a good time to bring him in. Hey, what's up, Beast?
Hey, how's it going?
Wait, just devastated over the loss of home maps for season 34.
Yeah, you're just cooking.
Listen, dude, I felt like I did what I could.
Yeah, it is what it is. I think when you're thinking about like kind of the role of the CRC or any real elected power position there is in society, it's really to a key crucial part of the job is to kind of reflect the views of the constituents who voted you in.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes down to it, as great and novel of idea home maps were, it's not like it was like universally approved and appreciated by everyone.
That's true.
I think a lot of people, especially in majors, just weren't a fan of it. And I think the complexities kind of came when we started talking about tracking stats.
Well, let me ask you about that, because I thought, out of all the arguments against home maps, I thought that was I hated that argument. I thought the whole different stats thing, I mean, how ridiculous is that?
It just gets me so hot, because in any sport where stats are tracked, there are always such different scenarios in every single game played that it's impossible to normalize. And the map that we're choosing, that people are playing on, is just not drastic enough to have one person have overinflated stats to I don't know, propel them to an MVP bid that maybe they shouldn't have. It's absolutely ridiculous. To me, the stats collection process should be to monitor how well you did in game. So if you're doing something in game and it's not getting tracked, like what the fuck are we doing with stats? I don't get it. But
Yeah,
you got some people and mostly these like majors balls who just take themselves so fucking seriously. They're so boring and want to just do the same monotonous shit every single season that uh they don't like budging on stuff, but those are also the people who sign up every season. You can't piss them off too much or else then we don't got anyone else signing up.
right.
Um so I guess my big question for you,
Yep.
if I can, um obviously there's still a lot to look forward to this season, right? Um I was curious, what do you think success looks like given Dan Campbell got the team to an NFC championship game last season? So he's under more pressure than he's ever been. The team keeps getting better and better every single season. What does success look like, and what is a failure, just given these high pressure circumstances that the team has probably never seen in your lifetime?
Yeah, well, I think, yeah, I mean, obviously, supposedly, the schedule is supposed to get harder, right? You play a first place schedule. So I'm not terribly concerned about the record, what the record looks like. I think regular season, you have to win the division. That was what I said last year. I think you have to win the division again. Whatever that record means, we have to win the division. And then as far as playoffs go, it's once you get in, we'll see what happens. But I would be disappointed if they're not in the NFC Championship game again. And I think the ceiling's the Super Bowl, right?
Especially considering how weak the NFC is, just comparatively to the AFC and kind of the quarterbacks that they have there, and kind of the window the Lions are in with all of their young talent on rookie contracts. You got to think the pressure's on, like the next 1 to 2 years, Super Bowl appearance bound, or else like who knows when you're going to be this good again.
I would agree, and to an extent, I almost feel that was like last season. I felt like that was such a missed opportunity. Because now you lose Josh Reynolds. Jameson Williams has to step up and be your second, third receiver, which we don't know if he can be. So yeah, it felt like they missed a chance last season, and you're not guaranteed to be that good again. But yeah, I would be disappointed if they don't win the division. I would be disappointed if they don't make it to the championship game at least. So
Definitely the most fun team to watch in football outside of my beloved Seahawks. So I'm rooting for you guys.
for sure.
I think if we want to take this back to maps real quick, I think the one thing I'll say, kind of talking about what you were saying, kind of leading out of home maps, where you're kind of looking to do something. The CRC trying to innovate to create a more electric map rotation is not new at all. It's been, I don't know, probably 30 seasons in the making. So I just want to wish you guys luck in terms of kind of what you could bring to the table, just considering I think the most innovative and well-running thing that we did have was home maps. And
I agree with you completely.
until then, like the CRC's tried a bunch of things, but we've just never been able to crack the code on maps. Probably the biggest reason being is the top players only want to play the same like 6 maps anyway. But yeah, wishing you luck there, because I don't have another answer.
Thank you very much.
Cool. That's it for me. See you guys.
Thanks, BC. Appreciate Beast Mode stopping by. This will be a good time to take a pause. I'm going to share the Discord link again. Again, if you're new, I assume we don't have anyone new in here. Fly, hello, by the way. Thank you for stopping by. You can join that Discord. There's a Nightcap waiting room voice chat channel. You can hop on there if you got a take. I'll drag you into the stream. We can discuss. Feel free. This is only fun if we got people calling in, so. Fly says, okay. I don't know if this is terribly good discussion. But MOT, bring back a separate MOTP CRC and Novice CRC is what I'm assuming Fly is saying there. I don't know about that. I think ever since we merged, I think that becomes less of a, like, I think that makes sense less. I think when you had 4 tiers, there was such a clear delineation between NLTP and MLTP. Both had their own like franchising system, right? I say franchising, but affiliation is probably the better word. And then PK I had obviously created it as a separate entity from MLTP and had his own independent control. I need stuff to talk about PK, so I'm gonna talk about it anyway. But once we had like a combination of CRC members from both CRC, like I think Cheese at that point was a NLTP and MLTP CRC member. I think maybe if you see Gamey was also in the same boat. Once that happened, and once that happened and the merge happened, and then we go to 3 tiers instead of 4, I think the change is irreversible. You did not, all right. MOTP MTC. So supposedly that was, I don't know if that's what they called it, but supposedly last season 33, there was a map panel, which is what I assume what you would call the MTC fly. I don't know who was on it, but I assume that's what you're talking about. Oh, I think we might get Fly calling in, so hold on. Hold on. Oh, baby. Hey, Fly. Testing.
My mic. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're a little faint.
Well, tough.
That's right, we'll make it work.
I have a topic.
Do it.
Say I'm a washed up old head and I want to get back in the game. How do I get back up to Majors quality in like a month?
That's a great question. I guess for me it starts with TPM and seeing where you stack up there.
You don't think I should just grind pubs for like 24 hours a day?
If you got time for that. I don't know how often you're playing pubs recently, but I can't say they're the greatest gameplay quality.
No comment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, it's TPM and see where you stack up from there. What's unfortunate, I think, is we've gotten older and older. People are like, just the engagement level is low, right? So like, no one's running tourneys. There's no sockles or anything like that. So it's really hard to gauge your skill level outside of, I think, TPM. To me,
What is the TPM like quality like these days?
Varies. Depends on what.
Is Robiny top 10?
I'm sorry.
Is Robiny top 10?
No. You'll have an SQ that I think has your usual suspects like TNG, Jig, Carrot Cake, so on. You don't have any of the other old heads like Brights. I don't think playing anymore. Warriors, Crippy, all of them. But it's not the worst. Like Robiny's still probably like 500-600 elo is my guess, and the top guys are 2,500 or so.
Well, sounds thrilling. I don't know.
Are you coming back? Is that why you're calling? Is it an announcement? You're coming back?
No, I don't think. I don't know. I was traveling every week for work last year, and being in a hotel room with like a laptop isn't really super conducive to Tag Pro, so I didn't play at all. Got some new hobbies, but now I'm working from home again, and got roped back into a couple things, so maybe I'll switch it up, maybe I won't.
Sounds promising.
We'll see.
I guess, well, let me ask you this. Is there anything that would make you more likely to come back? either from a competitive standpoint, or have you been keeping up with the changes the devs have been making, or anything that's excited you there? Or...
Well, I did like click on Tag Pro, the like homepage, and there was like a whole new update of new things, which was nice. Every so often, well, actually, let's be realistic. I check the Discord often because people are always adding admins for stupid reasons.
I wonder who that could be.
So every so often, I will get like, I'll like see what's going on, and like most of the time, my eyes glaze over and I look away. But I also get the same thing in the other, like the regular Tag Pro server, because I was a mod for a long time, so I would get like any help things there, and I would see all the conversations in Future Group, and it is like, I don't know if they get enough credit. Like, they're working so hard and they're always talking and always discussing things, and I think people probably take for granted like the dev group we have now, it seems, is like the most active in Tag Pro history, like maybe other than like the first year or whatever. So I would just give a shout out to the Future Group, because I do think they're really trying to make the game better.
Yeah, no, for sure. I would agree with that. Like, I started playing, I don't know, that was 2014, I guess, and it's as active as a dev team as I've ever seen. So I'm super happy with them.
Yeah, it was good. I set up a little Smurf profile, and it was fun because I could, change my little tile respawns, and I had so many options for that. I could mess around with my texture pack, this new snap tap thing. I'm not gonna say I was a user of the the null movement at all, but I would never cheat. But it's nice to see that they're adapting to kind of what people want.
So if you've played around with it, what do you think about it? I tested it, and I
don't
had
think
never
it makes
used
any
it.
difference. I think it's all like mental.
Yeah.
Like maybe a 0.5% difference, but like I think you're just used to like whatever mechanics you get used to, and I don't think it makes any like actual difference. I think people, if you're good, you're good. It's not gonna. I think the biggest area that most people have in terms of like getting better at Tag Pro is not mechanics and not the marginal gains from like containing properly because you have like null movement or whatever, but instead like the decision making is like where the biggest improvement is, because like even pubbing today is just like the decisions you see people make are just like absolutely mind-boggling. Actually, I think like probably 90% of the community could probably improve their win rate like 5% by just simply like being more intentional about like staying ahead and not like putting themselves behind.
Yeah, I think that's probably true up until, I don't know, maybe even the majors to some level. I mean, that's just so fundamental. It's just being ahead. I don't know.
I mean, I think like I catch myself like when I get lazy, like it's the easiest thing to like, go in terms of like being responsible. Like you let your decision make, like your, I guess, self-control is how I put it.
Yep.
Because it's not very fun always to make the right decision. Like it's way more fun to take a stupid boost backwards. But yeah.
For sure. Well, let me go back a little bit. I guess at a second part of that original question I asked, was there anything that would make you more likely to come back to competitive? I guess, have you paid attention to the recent competitive seasons? Do you have opinions on how it's been run? Is there something you'd like to see that you don't see? I guess anything like that.
Paid attention at all.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, no. I think too, for me, like playing was always like an inherent internal motivation, because like I wanted to be better. I wanted to like see myself do better, and less about like what everyone else was doing, I guess. But have you guys shortened the season at all?
It's still 7 weeks.
Yeah, see, I think that's one of the things. Like if it was like a 1 month season that was like condensed, I think I would probably play. But 2 months.
Let me get your thought on this. But so I played Then's Invitational, whatever. He had like an A league underneath the main league that I did, and I think that was like 4 weeks or whatever it was. And to me, it just almost like when I played it, it felt like just like a tournament. Like it feels like the 7 weeks of an MLTP season. Like it actually feels like a season, and I think it adds like a I don't know, like a, not to call okay then stuff illegitimate, but like I don't know, it feels a little more legitimate, like a actual competitive season with the length in there. I don't know if you agree with that.
I mean, maybe, but my opinion has always been that like the best part of the season is the draft and then the playoffs. So if you're maximizing the best parts of the season by doing those things more frequently, then I think it would be better.
That makes sense.
And also too is like the way my life is currently, usually I only will like have like 4 weeks where I'm not going somewhere or doing something, whereas if it's like 7 weeks, I know I'm gonna have like a conflict or two, which is just like annoying to plan around.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Fly, thank you for stopping by.
Yep, no problem. Have a good one. Best of luck.
Yep, take care. Fly back from the dead, can you believe it? And by the way, like, she says she doesn't want to play tag pro at a hotel. My teammates can attest. I've done that a fair few times. I think I won a playoff round. I don't even know what season that was. I was playing minors with Cat Puke and Zion, and the fourth player is escaping me right now. Was that Blob? It might have been Blob. And I was on a work trip in Colorado, and I agree for the most part, Fly, but I had the craziest Dallas ping from that Colorado hotel. I've never had anything good since, that good since. And we won that playoff series in 5, I think. And I'm like, I told him I'm coming back every single week to Colorado just so I can get this ping. It was crazy. Russ, any thoughts about preventing what's happening in NFTL with Sugar and Spire, Tots domination? We've had some adjacent discussion to that. One of the things that I'd seen, and I don't know if I really like it as a solution, but one of the potential, I think, solutions would be to essentially it's a you captain or you don't play sort of thing. And again, this is not like concrete. It hasn't been voted on. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to Inspire or Sugar. But previously, that's been a solution, I think. And that helps mitigate it to a degree, right? Because you can do TCAC with just their talent level in mind and their ability to, I guess, affect the market is eliminated, right? Because whoever's doing the TC adjusting, since they're their own captain, you can just dock them based on their own talent, right? The tots at tats doesn't come into consideration at all. Whereas if they're a player, that's when suddenly their value doesn't start to equate with their skill. Yeah. And you bring up Sugar and Inspire. We've seen it with plenty of other players. We don't need to single them out, right? There are plenty of people we've had ever since I started playing back in Season 8 of Novice, where just for attitude or whatever reason they go for lower than they should. And I think to some level you're unable to regulate it. Like if someone's unlikable, I don't think you can just ban someone for being unlikable, and you can't just force a tag coin value on someone either. Especially in an auction draft. That's a weird road to get down. And it's just a weird spot. Like you would hope that everyone who plays in your league is just like nice to everyone and tries hard and doesn't threaten the ghost. But yeah, I think to some point it's just really not something you can regulate unless they cross in the bannable territory or, disciplinary territory. And then really the only potential solution I've seen that has made sense to me is if you have a concern about a particular player, like that, you make them captain, and then you can be more fair. I think you end up with a more fair result because you can just now have their TC adjusted based on their talent. It's just an unfortunate, like, I just don't think you can do much about it. But, like, for example, I'm gonna get my season wrong here, so I won't even try. But, like, when I captained Blue Suede Poos in minors, and we drafted Sugar for a ton of coins, probably got Sugar for less than what they would have gone for because of the personality and the ghost risk. Thank you, Cell, season 27. And we ended up paying the price for that, right? Like, Sugar ghosted that season. We were able to get Cell as an analytical replacement. Shout out. But that's also kind of the risk you take with that decreased tag coin value as a captain. They may just completely, like, ruin your team, If they don't, maybe you came away with the steal, but that's always the risk. And then where it gets really difficult is it all an act, or is it only, not even an act, but is it like something like they clean up when they're actually on a team they want to be on, right? And that's where it starts to get manipy, but again, it's really hard to regulate. I guess I'm glad you brought up DBAD, Ravani. So I've got mute power, right, in the comp server. I think I'm gonna be committed to be pretty trigger happy with the mutes. Once the season starts, I think I'm really gonna be more of a monitor in all of our discussion channels. I'm gonna try to be vigilant, and when I think we're crossing a line, I'll issue a mute for a period of time. I think that will help. But I don't know. That's like stuff that happens in a team's own server or team's own voice chat. That's really hard for a CRC to moderate, right? But I'll do what I can in the public discussion channels for sure. There had been some talk about, like, escalating, like, official discipline. Like, maybe if I'm having to continually meet a person, does that turn into, like, Novice used to censure people, which I always thought was kind of silly, but does it turn into a censure? And then does a censure turn into, like, a week-long suspension? Which was something that was brought up. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we probably need to have more discussion about it. But I'm certainly down to try to make the discussion channels a positive place for people to discuss the season, for sure. Okay. Had not taught duos yet. We can do that. So we can talk duos just a little bit. We are still discussing it internally. It's not super fleshed out right now, but essentially it's exactly as it sounds. And there had been some discussions on whether it's just, I think PK had asked whether it's just like players sign up as duos and it's not tied to captaincy. I would have to read this again. I don't want to put words in his mouth. But to me, duos, should we decide to do them, it's tied to captaincy for me, right? So every captaincy, every team is going to start with 2 players. Ideally, every pair decided to sign up together. That might not be realistic. And then you get into, I think essentially like a draft of prelims to make your duo. if you did not sign up with another person. So there's that. That's a complication that I think we need to think through more. And then I think TCAC becomes difficult, right? Because I think it's less impactful. Like if you have a really good duo, like let's say you have 8 majors teams, right? And you've got 32 players. 16 of the players are already going to be on teams, right? And if you know your 32nd player is going to be of a certain level. And based on previous seasons, the level that they're going to be at, it's not bad. It's like a fringe ball, right? That's what a CRC generally tries to aim for. It's not going to be anyone that really can't hang in majors, probably, right? So you know regardless of what the TC adjustment is, your last ball is going to be someone who can hang a little bit. So I think that's tricky. When you already have half your team and you know your fourth isn't going to be all that bad, it really, I think, reduces the value of tag coins, however they're adjusted, and it really puts a ton of value into who that pair is. So like the Doomsday scenario that we've kind of talked about a little bit, say you have, I don't know, like Bright and OK then sign up together. And you could probably say, you put in whichever 2 names you want, but 2 like elite players, they could probably carry any other 2 players to your Super Bowl, right? If no other duo has a player of an OK then or a Bright caliber. I think that's the danger you might run into. And I think specifically that's probably more of a majors concern than anything else, right? Because minors pairs, minors duos are limited by the majors draft, yeah? So like you could never have a Bright and OK then sign up for a minors duo because they'd be playing majors, right? And we don't have DEPs pre-draft, so any player who's too good for minors, well, they're playing majors. They got drafted, right? So you could still have a pretty strong duo in minors, but I think the disparity between them and maybe another duo that's not as skilled is probably less than that of a Bright and OK then versus another majors duo, because there's no like ceiling on what that talent can be versus what minors has, where there is like an inherent ceiling because of the majors draft. So that's an interesting challenge. And then the question is, well, do you just reject duos who are too good? But then the follow-up is, if you are rejecting duos, do they just not sign up? And then I kind of ask the question, well, if we're rejecting them, why do we do it in the first place? To me, we should only be rejecting if there are just too many for the amount of teams we have, right? So I don't know. We got to think through that. I would also question myself in saying, are we going to get Bright and OK them to sign up as a duo? Probably not. I would doubt that, right? Are we going to get a duo that's so obviously like so much better than any other duo in majors? That's probably not true. So there's that. Like, we're probably limited just by who's willing to sign up there. But I don't know. Definitely need to have some more discussion about it. Would love for you guys to chat about it and hear majors discussion, minors discussion. Would love to get some community thoughts on it. But that's kind of where we stand on duos right now. I think it's a weird problem to implement for majors. Just because of the possibility. And I'm with you there, Fly. I think it would be super fresh. And that's a large reason why I want it. Again, this is season 34. Come on, let's try it. you know. I mean, let's do our best to limit having a duo that's like so much better than everyone else. But like I want to try it. CRC member, what is your stance on out of league subs? Well, I'll tell you this. I think people who sign up and like I love Flaccid. Man, you sign up and tell the league you can't play playoffs. I don't know that you should be allowed to play. And if you are, captains need to understand they're not getting anyone. Like when you're telling the league that you are not going to play in the playoffs, well, then that's tough luck for the team that drafts you. They know. Like, when a team knows beforehand that they're drafting a player who's not playing, like, it's like, it would be like, you know, if you draft a player whose availability has them missing 2 weeks, and you know which 2 weeks they are. So say this season, I have a player who says they're missing the week before and after Halloween. I don't get an out-of-league sub for those 2 weeks. I knew he was going to be gone, or he or she would be gone, right? I don't get someone to fill in. I have to call someone up. And I think it's the same for FT's situation, where the team that drafted him knew he would be gone, regardless of whether it was 1 or 2 matches or the entire playoff run. The team that drafted him knew he would not be playing. And to me, that's you know what you drafted, and his value had been adjusted accordingly. And at that point, if you make it to playoffs, well, you're playing with a call up. I mean, in that situation, I think if I ruled on it, I would have hesitated to. I believe he was captain, because I think that was the Papranos. No, not the Papranos. It was the Pugrats. They lost in the Mooper that season to Jarvis and Titan, I'm pretty sure. But I honestly, to me, I think I would have just had Flaccid not play. I think that would have been the better solution than that. I don't like letting people. I don't know. If a team drafts someone, whether they're a captain or whatever, and they know they're going to be missing, they shouldn't be compensated fairly, like quote unquote fairly. Like they should be playing with a call up. To me. I think, and I know it's weird, because we had that situation with BSP in season 27. Yeah, no, thank you for asking, Cell. And I was so, at the time, I was so pro, like, getting an appropriate out-of-league sub for Sugar, because we were losing such a talented player. We ended up getting Cell, who's fantastic, right? But, at the time, I was so pro getting an out-of-league player to fill in. Now that I'm, like, thinking about it as a commissioner, I don't know, man. I don't like it all that much. I really don't. For ghosting, I might be a little more flexible versus someone who knows they're just going to be missing, like, playoffs, but I think, you know, I think I'm against it. Alright. I'm going to start wrapping this up here. If anyone's got any more questions, put them in chat. Hop in voice chat real quick. I'll give another minute or two. But yeah, good discussions, I think. I do hope we end up implementing DUOS this season, whatever form that takes. I think that'd be nice. And as Beast Mode said, we got some challenges ahead of us as far as the map rotation. That'll be interesting. And I have no idea what signups look like. Historically, what I'm told is that the fall season is always the lowest, so we might be facing some challenges there as well. But hopefully we'll bring some, you know, it's excitement and engagement, and we'll get some people to sign up that hadn't signed up in a while, or people from last season keep our retention rate up. So we'll see what it looks like. All right, but I think that's gonna wrap us up. No more Tates in chat or voice channel. So appreciate everyone who tuned in. Appreciate everyone who called in. We'll try to do these throughout the season. But yeah, see you next time. Sign up for season 34. Thanks for watching. GG's.